Hello, Paradise Panther artists. I am Mrs. Telfer, and I'm excited to be with you today to tell you about our next master artist. Because if you are an animal lover, then this artist is for you. Rosa Bonheur was born about 200 years ago in France. She liked to sketch live animals and then paint them as realistically as possible. She was also a brave and famous female artist. So let's get ready. Come on and dive down the rabbit hole with me as we learn about our next master artist, Rosa Bonheur.
I bet many of you have pets at home. Today's artist, Rosa Bonheur, loved animals and had many pets. They were her favorite subject to paint, and she became known as the painter of animals. Next, we're going to see the pet that was her favorite to paint. But what kind of animal do you think it was? Go ahead and raise your hand if you have an idea, and your teacher will call on you. Okay, let's go ahead and see which animal was her favorite. Rosa Bonheur's favorite pet was a lion. I'm thinking that this lion would probably not be a good pet for you to have at home for many reasons. However, in this painting, Bonheur made her pet lion look like a fierce king living in the African desert. But he was actually living in her home when she painted him. This kind of painting that shows the animals as carefully as possible is called a realistic painting. Let's see how she made her lion look so real in the painting. We can see that the mane around the lion's face is yellow or orange. From far away, it may look like just one color of yellow or orange, but when we look closely at the hair, we can see she used several other colors like white, brown, red, and black. She used a thin paintbrush to paint hundreds of lines of color to make the hair look realistic. Rosa painted the lion with a lot of detail to make it look like a photograph. I bet it took her a long time to paint all those lines of color. Next, let's see what Rosa Bonheur looked like. Rosa's brother, who was also an artist, painted this portrait of Rosa. Rosa had two younger brothers and one sister. Their father, who was an artist, trained all four Bonheur children as artists. As a child, Rosa was allowed to explore and play in the garden and horse stables near her parents' house. She loved to draw, but she didn't enjoy school. Some artists like to paint outdoors, but many artists do their work in a studio. What kinds of things do you think you might find in an artist studio? Go ahead and raise a quiet hand, and your teacher will call on you if you have an idea. Yes, you might find paint, brushes, a palette, easels, frames, a canvas, or paper in an artist studio. Now, let's see the studio where Rosa and her family painted. You're going to be surprised when you see what is in this studio. In this studio, we can see artists who are painting in the background, right here and right here. We can also see sheep and a goat in the stalls right here. We can see a horse in the hay over here. We can see a hay wagon up above right here. And also several animals like cats and rabbits. We can also see animal heads on the walls right here and over here. We can see even a saddle right here. This was certainly no ordinary studio. Her studio in Paris was filled with cages of birds, stalls with horses, cows, goats, sheep, ducks, cats, dogs, and rabbits. But with so many animals and birds in a studio, it became messy and smelly. One time, a squirrel gnawed through the cord, holding up a large framed painting, which came crashing down to the ground. After Rosa became a successful artist, she was able to buy a big, beautiful house in the countryside with lots of land where she could keep all of her animals. You've already seen the painting of her favorite animal, the lion, but she actually had 3 lions over a period of years. Here is a list of some other animals that she kept at her big house: dogs, ponies, deer, elk, horses, sheep, gazelles, bulls, cows, monkeys, a yak, a boar, and an eagle. What animal do you think we'll see in the first painting that Rosa ever exhibited in Paris? Maybe it's one of your favorite animals or pets. I'll give you a clue. The animal is soft. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have an idea, and your teacher will call on you. The animal in her painting that she first exhibited in Paris was a rabbit. Doesn't this painting make you feel like reaching out and petting the rabbits? The rabbits look soft and furry, and we can tell how alert and even nervous they seem. And the rabbit on the right-hand side looks like it's about to wiggle its nose. Rosa used warm colors in the foreground of the painting. We can see the warm colors, brown and orange, in the foreground up front. And we see dark colors in the background. That makes our eyes focus on the lighter colored rabbits up front. Rosa has placed the rabbits at the front of the picture, in the foreground. The painting of these animals is very realistic. Even though it's an old painting that became very scratched and damaged, we can still see the rabbits very well. Rosa painted her rabbits with a lot of detail to make them look like real rabbits, as we see in this photograph. Just like in her Lion King painting, she painted hundreds of fine lines in different colors to create the soft texture of the rabbit's fur. We can't actually feel the soft fur with our hands because it's a painting, but we can feel the texture with our eyes because Rosa painted so many realistic details. I bet some of you have been to a farm before. One important job of a farm is to grow crops for food. Before you can plant the crops, you have to get your fields ready by plowing or digging up the dirt. Let's check it out next. Now, I want to know, what did you notice first in this painting? Was it the farm workers or the animals? Go ahead and raise a quiet hand if you saw the farm workers first. Thank you. You may put your hands down now. Now, go ahead and raise your hand if you saw the animals first. Thank you. You may put your hands down. I bet many of you saw the animals first. Of course, as a painter of animals, Rosa Bonheur would make the animals more important. After all, they are doing all the hard work. We call this animal that we see right here, these animals are called an ox. An ox is a cousin of the cow or the bull. If you have more than one of these animals, we say oxen. We don't say oxes. Farmers have been using oxen for a very long time because they are very strong and can work all day long pulling a plow without getting tired. Look at the part of the land that has been plowed and is ready for planting. It's the brown dirt right here in the foreground of the painting. See how the dirt looks realistic? Rosa was a master at painting with texture and details. It makes me want to reach out and scoop up some of this dirt with my hands. Horses were very important during Rosa's life because there were no cars or buses yet. Let's pretend that we're going to a horse fair with Rosa. We want to buy a new horse, but Rosa is going to sketch the horses so she can paint them later in her studio. If you wanted to buy a horse that would be full of energy and that could run very fast, you would probably choose the black and white horse right here. They look like they are full of energy. Now, if you wanted a strong horse with lots of muscles, maybe to pull a wagon, you might choose these white horses right here with the braided tails. They seem very strong. I think we'll be able to find a horse that we like at this horse fair. For this painting, it took Rosa Bonheur about 1.5 years to complete. No animal painter had ever painted such a large picture of horses before. This painting is 8 feet high. That's about as tall as a ladder. And the painting is over 16 feet wide. That's about as long as a mid-sized car. I think she made the painting of the horses so large so that they would seem even more lifelike and realistic. Here we see that the horses are moving all around. There are many signs in this picture that show movement. We can see the horses rearing up on their back legs right here. with its front hooves extended out right here. We can also see some of the horses are straining at the bit right here and right here. They're pulling away from their handlers, and even some of the horses are coming forward. We also see more curved lines than straight lines in this painting. The many curved lines help us feel the movement of the horses and make it seem like we can hear the thundering of the horses' hooves and feel the ground rumble. Remember the first portrait we saw of Rosa that was painted by her brother? Next, we will see a later portrait of Rosa by another painting. Here, Rosa was 35 years old and a very popular artist. She had won gold medals, and her paintings sold for a great deal of money. But this portrait of Rosa is different from the first portrait we saw today. She is holding a pencil and a sketchbook, and she is leaning on a bowl. When Rosa first saw the finished portrait by her artist friend, she didn't like the fact that she was leaning on a table, so Rosa asked her friend if she could change it. She repainted the work, putting in her favorite baby bull instead of the table. She had a very good sense of humor. I think a table would have been boring compared to this bull. And that's what Rosa thought too. In 1899, at the age of 77, Rosa became ill and died of pneumonia at her country house in France. She was well known as a successful, talented female artist who had done things only men had been allowed to do before her. But most importantly, she had painted her great love of animals.
Well done learning about our French female master artist, Rosa Bonheur. You will have a great time working on your animal projects next. Which animal will you be drawing and coloring? You will just have to wait and find out. Have a great day, Paradise Panther artists, and I will see you next time.